Hey guys, welcome to our first ever episode of our lyric explanation video from one of our songs from our winter playlist. My name is Caroline and today we will be talking about Blue and Gray, recently featured in BTS's most recent album, B. When I first heard this song, I felt as though it was very relatable to the times that we're in right now in terms of COVID and the pandemic and everything happening. And once you start to get into the translations and the different meanings behind the song, there's a lot of different nuances and background information that we can uncover for you guys to better understand the song. So without further ado, let's jump right into the explanation portion. Moving on to the album and song introduction, the song Blue and Gray is a recent B-side track featured in BTS's most recent album release in November of 2020. BTS also mentioned in a recent fan Q&A with Billboard mentioning that this album definitely signifies some of their New Year's resolutions and more. They also briefly explained that when you start to learn Korean, kind of similar to English grammar, you first start to learn be verbs, and RM explained that this could signify your existence, your potential in life, and also just being present in the moment. Members such as Jungkook also mentioned his New Year's resolution to be happy and healthy in the new year, and Jin also mentioned his to be able to tour within the new year. RM also brought up their Grammy nomination and potentially talking about hopefully winning as well in the next year. Fans also speculated that Big Hit also released a statement prior to the album release talking about how the B album would be the most BT-esque music yet. This is actually like a form of wordplay, so it was very interesting for the fans to kind of speculate and get hints from that statement. And lastly, from the Jimmy Kimmel show, Jimin also mentioned the types of themes that they'll be talking about in the album, and it also deals with grief, happiness, feeling lonely, and things like that throughout the year. And they were also talking about how a lot of these themes will be mentioned, and they're hoping that a lot of people can count on their music for it. In relation to the album, Blue and Gray is definitely one of the songs that pertain the most to the COVID pandemic time period, and it's definitely relatable to people all across the world. Blue and Gray is a guitar-based ballad that deals with the theme of artist burnout, and BTS takes their listeners on an emotional journey, talking about how they experienced anxiety, depression, and feelings of isolation during this time. Today we will be talking about the intro all the way into the first chorus, and I will be talking about the translations and the different meanings behind the song.
Where's my angel? 하루의 끝을 들리운 Someone come and save me please 지친 하루의 한숨뿐 사람들은 다 행복한가 봐 Can you look at me cause I'm blue and gray 거울에 비친 눈물의 의미는 웃음에 감춰진 날 색깔 blue and gray.
The song introduction is sung by Jungkook and V, and in the beginning they already start to mention lyrics such as exhausting day and that they want somebody to save them. They also start to look around and they see that everybody else is happy around them, and maybe they're wondering it's because they are blue and gray. They also start to talk about the mirror and the reflection they see of their own tears, and they begin to wonder what those tears really mean. At the end of this chorus introduction, they also start to mention that they are hiding their true colors underneath a smile, and they also start to mention the title again of Blue and Gray. Ultimately here, they're using the words blue and gray multiple times throughout the song to ultimately describe how people are feeling and how it makes them feel really sad, and they notice that everybody else around them is happy.
어디서부터 잘못됐는지 잘 모르겠어 나 어려서부터 머릿속엔 파란색 물음표 어쩜 그랬어 치열하게 살았는지 모르지 But 뒤를 돌아보니 여기 우두커니 손이 나를 집어삼켜버리는 저 서스퍼른 그림 여전히 더 파란색 물음표는 과연 불안인지 우린지 어쩜 정말 후회의 동물인지 아니면 외로움이나 나을지 여전히 모르겠어 서스퍼른 blue 잠시되지 않길 바래 찾을 거야.
The first verse is then sung a rap verse by Suga right after the introduction. I personally thought that the music layout was really interesting for this song because the two rap verses are actually the lyrics that have the most deep and meaningful meaning throughout the song. So the rap verse for this one comes directly after the introduction, and it is rapped by Suga. This rap verse is very interesting because it starts off with Suga wondering what went wrong when he was younger and why he had been living so fiercely. He then starts to continuously mention the blue and gray within the song because he mentions the bruised blue shadow that ultimately swallows him and continuously overconsumes him. He then goes into the next part, which is very important. It talks about continuously seeing that blue question mark in his head, and he's wondering whether that is actually anxiety or depression. This is really interesting because he directly brings up these issues in these lyrics, so it's very meaningful. The next part is also talking about how there's this continuous blue question mark. He feels very alone, and ultimately he wonders that he hopes he doesn't start to erode away in these emotions and that he hopes he finds an exit with it. Obviously, this verse was very meaningful, but it also ends on a positive note, talking about how he doesn't want to erode away with these emotions, and he also talks about how he wants to find an exit. So this is really important because, as we can tell, the blue and gray is constantly mentioned as a metaphor to overall talk about these emotions.
I just wanna be happier. 차가운 날 녹여줘. 수없이 내민 나의 손 색깔 없는 메아리. All this ground feels so heavier. I am singing by myself. I just wanna be happier. 이것도 큰 욕심.
The last chorus is sung by the vocal line members Jimin, V, and Jungkook, and it comes right after Suga's rap verse. They ultimately start to talk about the same thing that he ends off with his lyrics saying that he wants to find an exit to these emotions. So the vocal line members jump into the chorus talking about wanting to be happier. They also start off by saying that they want to be warmed in the cold winter, and they start to reach out to a colorless echo. During this entire song, they mention the theme of color multiple times. They've said it before, mentioning that they want to find their true colors and they are hiding under blue and gray. They also mention that they're reaching out to a colorless echo, and ultimately this color theme is being used to kind of contrast with the colors of blue and gray. They also talk about the theme of loneliness and feeling alone multiple times throughout the song, as they mentioned here that they want to be singing alone and they're singing by themselves. Lastly, they talk about wanting to be happier and wondering if this is too much greed or if it's too much that they're asking for. Ultimately, I think BTS did a really good job in this song of illustrating these universal feelings that everybody is feeling, such as anxiety, depression, feelings of isolation during the pandemic, and they did a really good job by doing this through an angelic ballad song of Blue and Gray. Thank you guys so much for watching our video today. We hope you enjoyed our translating and explaining video for Blue and Gray. If you guys like this song, you guys can also check out our winter playlist that have other BTS songs in there, so make sure to go check that out. We will be back with another episode of an explaining and translating video for another song, so make sure to look out for that. Make sure to go like and subscribe and leave a comment down below of any recommendations you have of videos you guys want us to translate and explain for you guys. We hope you enjoyed this video, and we will see you guys next time.